It's taken a few years to get here, but I think I can finally say with a pretty high degree of confidence that anime is finally mainstream. This video is sponsored by an actual dog. There we go. I actually plugged my microphone in this time. How did we get here? To give a very brief overview and summary of the answer to this question, it all started in the year 1917. Basically, there are these concepts called soft power and cultural export. Scary words, I know, but it's basically the power that a country can obtain through a non-physical means, aka without violence. In Japan's case, it's largely through entertainment, such as anime. Obviously, anime has been wildly successful in the West, because I would not be making this video if it was not successful. The fact that I am making this video is evidence of the fact that anime is, at the very least, popular. Another indicator that I think anime is becoming mainstream is the way that people perceive it has changed. If we look around, it becomes clear that anime has had some kind of cultural impact for a lot of people. Woo! And yes, for some people, anime does still mean guy in their mom's basement eating cheese Doritos because they're some kind of degenerate. But more recently, the image that is associated with anime has changed to a large degree. Now, anime has become associated with things like sports celebrities and hip-hop. That kind of caught me a little bit off guard. Characters such as Goku and Naruto have worked together to bring the influence of anime to spaces like self-improvement and even gym culture. I tell you, the amount of posts or like edgy posts where I see of like a picture of Goku and then it's like never give up and be strong or something, and it's like just a really ripped picture of like Asta or Goku or something. To perfectly articulate the extent of this reach is the fact that even like in my personal context, anime is popping up in places that I never would have expected, like even 2 years ago. Like one of the guys that I gym with, he has a shirt that has Goku on it, and I was like, huh. Not only that, but there is an increase in anime-branded clothing. The main point is that anime is becoming associated with a lot of things, and I think that is an overall indicator of not only the popularization of anime, but the fact that it is slowly but surely becoming mainstream, which is crazy to think about still. Oh, before I forget, remember, Vatican now has an anime mascot. Who asked for this? I don't know. Who wants this? I don't know. To me, this is basically the embodiment of the "how do you do, fellow kids" meme, which is a bit of a throwback, but I still love that meme because it is so relevant to absolutely everything and anything. But of course, the story doesn't end there, because there will always be limitations and barriers to entry. There are always going to be those few people who simply are not fans, simply don't like it. And I don't think this perspective is wrong. Not everyone has to like everything all of the time. But I think this perspective is best articulated through this Big Tug video. And I feel like it paints a very good picture of the weak points and limitations to the anime genre, which they do exist, contrary to what some people may believe. If you want to get the full scope of his concerns, I obviously suggest you go and watch the video. One of his more major points was the fact that some anime are just ridiculously long, like One Piece, and I understand where he's coming from, but I raise to you, there are also normal Western TV shows that are ridiculously long. Think about Supernatural, think about The Simpsons. These are all shows that have like hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of episodes, and they have very dedicated and old fan bases in the same way that anime like One Piece or Dragon Ball or Bleach have. Another point that he kind of leans into in the video is the fact that there is a bit of a culture barrier. Now, he doesn't, or from what I remember, and I'll double check this, he doesn't specifically mention a cultural barrier, but it is definitely implied that there is a cultural barrier, because And from personal experience, there are people who have been deterred from watching anime because there are just some things that they simply do not like about it intrinsically. And that is just because they simply do not vibe with what is going on. I have had people told me that they literally just don't see the point in watching an anime fight because, you know, I don't know. I don't really understand, but it's their opinion and I guess they have it. Another thing that people dislike, myself included, is how a lot of anime can have very rigid gender dynamics and, well, let's be honest, they can be a bit sexist sometimes. And these sorts of details, in my view, completely just obliterate the quality of any anime. If you wish to hear more about this specific topic, I have a much greater and more in-depth video that I think you will definitely enjoy. The next point that I have is that it is important to consider that not every single anime suffers from these problems. And I think a perception that a lot of people can have is that actually, yes, all anime are the same. They're all written in the same way. They all have the same problems. This simply is not true. Each different category of anime has completely different problems. So, now that we've established that yes, there is some form of intrinsic barrier to entry to watching anime, does that dismiss it from being able to enter the mainstream completely, or can anime still enter the mainstream? And yes, anime is definitely mainstream now. I think it is mainstream in the same way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe and superheroes entered the sort of became popular at one point, but then boom, Endgame dropped, bang, now it is mainstream. The difference, however, between superheroes and the literal medium of animation is that animation is so much more diverse, so much more everything than just the concept of superheroes. I've already made like 5 shorts on the different categories of anime that exist, which, by the way, are all based on the manga editorial category of the same name. There are people cutting grass outside, and I think it is bleeding into my audio, and if it is, I'm going to completely ignore it. The biggest challenge that I've had to try and overcome, which I still have not overcome, by the way, for this video, is pinpointing exactly what separates something from being mainstream versus popular, because anime has a lot of viewers at this point, and it has a thriving online community, and it has a lot of large creators. I mean, Gigok has a lot of subscribers. Hope maybe I will one day, you never know, subscribe maybe. These sorts of indications can generally be an indication that, yes, something has become popular. I think it is very interesting how this phenomenon can occur where you will just get like a very successful channel that is completely centered around One Piece or Dragon Ball. And I think it's just kind of crazy that this kind of thing can occur. Anyways, taking all of the things that I have explored into account, anime is now mainstream. Is there a particular moment that I could pinpoint? Like, for example, with, again, the MCU, Endgame was kind of like that pivotal moment where, yes, this is now mainstream, one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Millions of people who've never interacted with the fandom or like even watched a Marvel movie watched it. It's crazy. It's a crazy phenomenon. Is there any example of that happening in Dragon Ball?
Look at this dude.
Sorry, I mean anime. One could say that perhaps Dragon Ball Super was that. The Tournament of Power shattered the internet, Crunchyroll servers went down. Some anime outright fixed the problems that I have previously mentioned, such as Dandadan. But even that kind of anime presents its own unique problems that some viewers will not watch it because it has content that they will be sensitive to. Is it a good anime? Yes. Is it for the mainstream? Definitely not. Definitely not. Something like Dragon Ball, however, is for the mainstream. Lots of anime, definitely for the mainstream. Every anime for the mainstream? No. No. Anime as a concept for the mainstream? I think so. And with that, and the many weed whackers that are currently whacking weeds in the background, I hope you enjoyed the video and bid thee farewell.